Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the COE and Dr. Diadamo's office. What's up? I'm doing a presentation today on low testosterone and the andropausal male, a natural approach to men's health. So a little bit of an overview of the night. We're going to go into some basic definitions, and please excuse me while I'm doing that. I'm going to read a couple portions from the slides, and then I'm going to go a little bit about male anatomy, then a little bit about kind of hormonal physiology, and then we're going to dive kind of into the topics of low testosterone, which is kind of the andropause, menopause section, benign prostatic hypertrophy, so a little information about that, erectile dysfunction, some of the new stuff that we're actually doing for prostate cancer, some of the new tests and whatnot that we're coming up with, and then we're going to end it with a case study and questions. That's kind of the outline that we're going to be following for the night. So a little bit about me. I'm Robert Brody. I'm a naturopathic doctor candidate at the University of Bridgeport, College of Naturopathic Medicine. Welcome to campus. Everyone's going back to college at this point. I originally got my Bachelor's of Science degree from Green Mountain College in Pulteney, Vermont, so way up north, about an hour and a half south of Burlington, if you're familiar at all with it. After my bachelor's degree, I decided to go work at a local Vermont high school. I was a teacher assistant working with special needs children who had IEPs and learning disabilities, and I was a teacher assistant for science and history classes. Now, I never thought I'd be into this line of work, but after working in that school and helping those kids, it kind of made me realize what I really wanted to do, what I really have the desire for is to help people learn, help people grow. My father actually is a doctor. He's a doctor of homeopathy, and he's also a nutritionist, and he has his PhD. And he's been practicing this type of medicine for about 27 years or so. So about actually as long as Dr. Diadamo has. But I never thought I'd follow in his footsteps. I've been on 2 medical missions to Guatemala, security. 2 medical missions to Guatemala. And during that time there, we worked with all the indigenous populations and just kind of helped in a very acute method. I've also done 5 rotations with Dr. Diadamo here at the Center of Excellence in Generative Medicine. I've also did over 200 hours of preceptoring here with Dr. Diadamo, and I'm also the current COE extern, and I'm expected to get 150 hours of that. If you would like to know more information about that, you can visit my website. There's a little bit more detail on there, but it's just brodymd.com. So what is a naturopathic physician? So you have to excuse me for the next couple of minutes. I'm just going to kind of read what it says and I'll elaborate. Naturopathic physicians combine the wisdom of nature with the rigors of modern science. Steeped in traditional healing methods, principles, and practices, naturopathic medicine focuses on holistic, proactive, preventative, comprehensive diagnosis and treatment. By using protocols that minimize the risk of harm, naturopathic physicians help facilitate the body's inherent ability to restore and maintain optimal health. It is the naturopathic physician's role to identify and remove barriers to good health by helping to create a healing internal and external environment. So pretty much what we do, we attend medical school just like if you're familiar with medical doctors or osteopathic doctors. But during our medical school training, we actually learn to use natural modalities. So we be able to use herbs, vitamins, minerals, hydrotherapy, physical medicine, etc., with the goal of trying to get to the underlying cause of why this condition is there, why you have that disease, and not just simply covering up symptoms. So a little bit about the COE. Obviously, you guys all made it here, so that's great. At the COE, we do something called generative medicine. Generative medicine is about creating. So a little definition is generative medicine employs the tools of modern medical research and bioinformatics. It's a type of information technology to better understand the complex behaviors seen in both health and disease. These behaviors go beyond simple cause and effect relationships and provide for better understanding of the relationship between the individual parts, whether these are genes, cell organelles, or organ systems. Naturopathic systems analysis can provide better approaches to safer and more individualized treatments of sickness and enhance the well-being, as Dr. Diadamo says that. So it's a different outlook on how we treat. It's all about pushing the body in the right direction so it can heal itself, generally speaking. So we're going to get right into it. So male anatomy. This is a sagittal section of a male figure, which means they're cut in half, kind of straight down, and we're looking at the side portion of it. And we see in the posterior part is just going to be the colon. The colon is where your stool comes out, where your stool comes through. If we go to the right of the screen, we'll see the bladder. The bladder is the one organ that kind of holds the urine. And directly below that, you see that round structure, that is the prostate. And then obviously if we keep going inferior to that, we have the penis and the scrotum, which contains the testicles. And I just wanted to make a note of how close the prostate is to the colon. And that's one of the methods that doctors have to figure out what's going on with the prostate, kind of that digital rectal exam, so that prostate exam. And if you want to know kind of what a normal prostate feels like, you just feel the tip of your nose, and that would be the normal feeling of a normal prostate. If you feel your forehead, that would be a diseased prostate. And if you feel your cheek that's inflated, that would be kind of an enlarged prostate, or one that has some hypertrophy, so BPH. So taking a closer look of the prostate, you kind of see here, once again, the bladder's on top, which contains the urine, and the prostate's directly underneath it. So we're going to talk a little bit about testosterone first. So testosterone is that nice figure in the middle from organic chemistry, if you ever took that fun class. And testosterone kind of converts and kind of used in many different functions and can go into many different hormones. So general information, testosterone is actually a steroid hormone. It's a relationship to many different hormones in the body. It's made in the testicles in males and the ovaries in females. It's controlled by upstream mediators, so some stuff that we'll be talking about in a little bit, but it's controlled by something called luteinizing hormone. And as we know, as we go through puberty, men, as we go through puberty, testosterone levels kind of increase along with some of your other hormones. And that's what causes us to get the acne, it gets the big muscles, gets us nice and tall. Those kind of changes that happen during that time is because of the increase of testosterone. And testosterone actually normally decreases with age, but it usually stays within a certain range. It's only when that testosterone goes out of that range when problems can manifest. So some more physiology, if you will, of just when we're doing a blood test, there's many different ways that we can measure testosterone. So we do something called total testosterone, which gives us the whole environment of testosterone. Also, we can measure something called bioavailable testosterone, or is the testosterone that is readily available for your body to use and maintain for cellular functions. And then you see that top little screen there, that box, the SHBGT, that's testosterone. That's called sex hormone binding testosterone, or sex hormone binding globulin testosterone. That's going to be something of great importance that we're going to talk about a lot. So we have a lot of different ways that we can modulate this in an individual. So we were talking a little bit earlier about kind of the stress response that can happen. And starting with the adrenal glands, which is that circular shape that you see up on the screen right now, that's it's a little fatty kind of organ that sits on top of your kidneys. That gland actually secretes a lot of different hormones. Some of those hormones are cholesterol, and cholesterol kind of leads to pregnenolone. Now when you're under a lot of stress, that actually can get converted into cortisol, which is your stress hormone. That's the hormone that kind of helps you deal with stress. And that's called a pregnenolone steal. The other pathway it can go into is toward the testosterone through the DHEA. And that's kind of the pathway that we want it to go through in a normal, healthy male. We don't want the person to be overly stressed because we want them to have the testosterone. When the testosterone is not being made, it's called a pregnenolone steal, and it's all being converted toward the cortisol. Once again, this is the same thing I just showed you, last slide, but you see that little gray highlighted box right there? It says testosterone production is inhibited. So with excessive amount of stress hormone, if we're very stressed and agitated, our testosterone is going to be a little bit lower. This is just kind of going along the lines of testosterone that's bound to something and testosterone that's free. So when you see the testosterone, which is that purple hexagon shape, when it's bound to sex hormone binding globulin, it's kind of like Pac-Man. It won't let it go. It's stuck there. Your body necessarily can't use it. The testosterone that's not bound to Pac-Man can be able to go into the cells and do the normal cellular functions. So is low testosterone actually a thing? Is it something that we have to worry about? Is it something that's important? Well, I'm going to be pulling in a couple different articles in here, and I try to get the most recent ones that I can find. This is pretty much saying that yes, testosterone is a problem. Low testosterone can have such issues as loss of libido, erectile dysfunction, lack of concentration, depression, lethargy, or very tired, fatigue, irritability, and some problems with sleep. So it's kind of a very important hormone for the aging male, or even females for that part, if it's imbalanced. So we can kind of see the normal testosterone levels that are in the adult male. So the blue lines represent testosterone, and we see that they're very high in the beginning if you look on the upper right-hand screen, and they kind of decrease, and they're actually decreasing with age. And then we can see that nice red line, which is your sex hormone binding globulin. Once again, that's kind of like Pac-Man grabbing onto something and not letting go, which is going to actually increase with age. So one of the things that we try to do is keep the testosterone within a normal, healthy range. So that way, testosterone and sex hormone binding globulin are equally on the playing ground. So symptoms of low testosterone. As we can see here, there's a man that's very happy and a man that's very sad. So the goal of this presentation is try to make sure that you're the happy man. So some of the symptoms of low testosterone, or andropause if we want to call it that, or menopause is another name that's kind of spoken a lot about. Having that low energy, low libido, obesity, erectile dysfunction, poor bone health, depression, and fatigue. It's actually interesting to note, I had one patient beginning of the year who's a 40-something-year-old man who, very high-stress lawyer. He's a very powerful lawyer that's out there, doing great work in his profession. But he came in with the diagnosis of osteoporosis. Now that's weird for a couple different reasons. One of all, because he's a man. Second of all, because of the age. It's usually something we see in the later life. So after we did a workup, we found out that his testosterone was low. And that's something that his primary care practitioner kind of missed. They just kind of saw that he had osteoporosis and they were just treating the osteoporosis and not necessarily on the underlying cause of the testosterone, the hormone imbalances. And that's something that we'll be talking about in just a little bit. So low testosterone in the medical world is actually called hypogonadism. Gonadism. That doesn't mean that you have small genitals or anything like that. It just means you have a lack of testosterone in your body. And this is pretty much just a flow chart. It's kind of like a spiral going down, and some kind of head trauma is going on, which is affecting those upstream modulators of the hormone control, which is then pretty much increasing the sex hormone binding globulin, and you're not able to use that testosterone that you're making. And it's kind of a spiral down process that keeps going once it starts. So the allopathic causes of low T. And I just want to mention the word allopath. I'm not using it as a negative term. I'm just using it as a term saying that they're not necessarily, these practitioners aren't necessarily looking for the underlying cause. They're kind of almost covering up symptoms or not going deep, not being good clinicians. And this can be anyone. This can be naturopathic physicians. This can be medical doctors. It can be osteopaths. It can be homeopaths. It can be anyone. It's always our goal to want to find the underlying condition so we can heal. We can help heal the person. So one of the things that they usually say, or just allopathic mindseted people, is if it's low in the blood, why don't we just give testosterone and get it back high in the blood? Not necessarily understanding why it's low. And just going a little bit more details of some questions that maybe they should be asking. Should I really have testosterone levels of an 18-year-old? And if I'm a 60-year-old man or if I'm an 80-year-old man, should I really have that low of testosterone levels? And is a range of total testosterone between 250 and 1,100 actually beneficial? So it's one of those things that I can just get a total testosterone level on an adult man and be like, oh, you fall right in that range, but not necessarily take into account of that's a big fluctuation. So that's why we were talking a little bit ago about the different kind of types of testosterone that can be tested. We want to test that free or bioavailable testosterone to see how much of it is actually being used and is not bound up by the Pac-Man, or sex hormone binding globulin.